Greetings, short people. Ooh, did you hear my seat fart? I wonder, am I supposed to say that? Mr. Taylor said fart. Oh my gosh, I've done it twice. Today I think I may have read this book before. Not in this series, but I think I read it at school. Or maybe to Kaya, my daughter. But this is called Harvey Potter's Balloon Farm. And my daughter liked it a lot. Kaya. You know Kaya. So, yeah, we'll do that. Yeah, I have read this before. So y'all ready? Everybody nod. Mm-hmm. Somebody can say, "Yes, Mr. Taylor, we read it." I can't hear you. Come on, you guys. So, Harvey Potter's Balloon Farm. Harvey Potter was a strange fellow indeed. He was a farmer, but he didn't farm like my daddy did. He farmed genuine U.S. government he farmed a genuine U.S. government inspected balloon farm. No one knew exactly how he did it. Some folks say that it wasn't real. That it was magic. But I know what I saw, and those were real, actual balloons growing out of the plain old ground. Do you ever go out in the garden and pull up weeds? I think that's what he's doing here while the chicken looks on. You ever do that? Go out in the garden and pull out weeds so they don't choke out the rest of your plants, the stuff that you actually want? I actually kind of like that sometimes. Harvey Potter had some of the prettiest colors you'd ever want to see on a balloon. Pleasing purple, orange ray sun, orange ray sun, yellow. There was Rip to Shoot red, and Jelly Bean black, and Bloomin' blue, and Grassy green. He had all kinds of shapes, too. Round balloons, long balloons, animal shapes, clowns with big noses and big mouths. He even grew monster balloons with scary faces and big sharp teeth when it came around to Halloween. How can a balloon have sharp teeth? Won't it pop itself? Oh, well, we won't get into all that. I tell you, Harvey Potter was a strange fella, all right. To look at him, he was quite plain. Never worn nothing to draw attention to himself. His hair was kept close cropped to his head. His overalls with a shirt underneath, were his uniform, and there was nothing special about his face either. What wasn't plain about him was the conjure stick he carried with him wherever he went. Sometimes he used it to scratch his back, but mostly he just carried it under his arm. Well, that explains something, because on the first page, I think I saw him holding on to a stick. Y'all want to go back and look? Let's do, okay? Let's go back. Yep. Yep. Sure enough. See? Right there. That's his conjure stick. It was Weasel Man. It was... Mr. Taylor's mouth is very tired. You know, this is a recording studio, and I sang for about 3 hours straight today for a friend of mine. He was recording me for an album he's doing. So my mouth is tired. But that's enough about me. Mr. Taylor, please read about the balloon farm. Oh, okay, I'll do that. Well, thank you, Mr. Taylor. You are quite welcome. Look, everybody's smiling at each other. It was Weasel Mayfield who called the government on him. So the government came out to Harvey Potter's balloon farm bright and early one morning. Our whole town turned out for them. And though nobody said what they thought, we all held our breath, hoping we could keep our balloons. We never knowed how to grow nothing but trees, you know, maple, sycamore, pine, oak, and regular kids stuff regular kinds of stuff like corn and okra and tomatoes. But Harvey Potter grew balloons, and no one knew what he used for seeds either. Y'all like okra? I don't like okra. I'm 68 years old and I still don't like okra. I like most other vegetables except onions. I don't like no onions. Anyway, the government men were standing around in white coats and white hats and white gloves, and they kept us so far back we could hardly see, but I climbed right up in a sycamore tree and saw everything. They pulled and they poked, and finally they picked one of those plants they pricked one of those plants with a pin. And what was supposed to happen did. The balloon popped. Even they couldn't argue with that. See? Up there in the sycamore. Looking at everything. Watching them poke that poor balloon. I wonder if the balloon was nervous. We may never know. So they gave Harvey Potter the right to grow balloons. He never asked them for it, mind you, but he took it anyway, just to be polite. Let me tell you, it made everybody happy. Well, almost everybody. Weasel was sore. Dag nippet. Now, I had quite an interest in Harvey Potter's balloon farm, and I decided I was going to get to know him. He didn't seem to mind. In fact, he let me get to know him right good. I'd bring some lemonade or sit on his porch swing or sit on his porch swing and let him swing it Gosh, I can't read anymore, help. But he never would confide in me about how to grow those balloons. I didn't pry. After a while, I, I just liked going to be around him. He didn't ask you no questions about why. He didn't ask no question. He didn't ask you no questions about why you were there or this or that. He just let a person be a person. He let a person sit and think out loud, and sometimes, and well, that's a mighty good thing to do. Mighty good. Mighty. Everybody say, mighty good. You have to make a face like that. Mighty good. Still, something in me was hankering to know, so I decided I was gonna go out there in the nighttime. That was when he did his field work. I told you he was strange. To this day, I am indebted to that sycamore tree and to the big old moon. It was as full as it was wide that night. I saw him the second he opened the door, plain as day. He stood there in front on his front porch, his hands in his pocket, looking straight ahead where the fields were. That conjure stick was under his arm. He just stood there, eyes staring straight ahead at something far off yonder. Then he came down off the porch. Step, step, step. His steps all seemed to be big and so loud. It must have been his heavy field shoes. He walked down to the field, and without a sign of warning, he commenced to holler. Holler? Okay, let your mom know. We're probably gonna holler. Okay? Just say, warning, Mom. The next thing I knew, he started dancing and prancing with that stick held out in front of him like it was his dancing partner. And then that stick started to glow and a nice orangey color and stood directly up on its own. And then it rose up into the air, and Harvey Potter rose up along with it. Y'all doing it? I can't hear you. One more time. Okay. Did I show you the picture? It looks like this. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. The two of them were making some mighty fine footwork, 6 feet apart, 6 feet or so off the ground. They were floating and bobbing. Why, it appeared as if the two of them had turned into glowing balloons themselves. Altogether, it was a very strange sight, which got even stranger. Harvey Potter dropped back down to the earth and grabbed a hold of that old stick, and he waved it around over his head, and he whooped and hollered and he yelled as he was carrying on. Yee-haw! 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 And I'm not ashamed to say, I was mighty scared. I would have jumped right down and run home, but my eyes were just plain glued to Harvey Potter. Then Harvey let go of that stick, and it started to bounce and float all over the field, dropping down here and there in nice rows. And all the while, Harvey Potter just kept whooping and hollering, "Yee-haw! Yee-haw! Woo! 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 Woo!" All of a sudden, that stick came to a complete halt and flew right back into his hand. All of a sudden. And that's when Harvey Potter stopped screeching, and he turned around, and he looked directly up in the tree, that sycamore tree. I thought for sure he saw me, but I guess not, 'cause he turned back. He turned back on around and went into his house and didn't come back out again. Yee-haw. I climbed down and I fell off to sleep waiting. In the morning when I woke up, wet with dew and shivering cold, little bitty colored mounds were popping up all over the ground. When I ran back after supper time, they had all come up in the glory of that day's sun. I tell you, it was a sight. Harvey Potter saw me out there in his fields admiring his latest crop of balloons. He said I could take as many as I wanted. I took 3. A clown, an elephant, and I couldn't resist the jelly bean black one. I mean, jelly bean black. Who can resist that? I didn't touch the monster ones on account of they were just too plain scary. I know I wouldn't want no monster balloon. Who wants to get bit by a balloon? Not me. Oh, those were the times. Harvey Potter went right on growing the best, prettiest balloons this side of anywhere. And we never heard a word from the government men again either. As for Weasel Mayfield, he was so riled up over the fun we were having with our balloons, he picked up and he moved to other parts of the town or the world. Well, what it actually says is this: he picked up and moved off to parts unknown. Mr. Taylor can read, just not very well, apparently. I remember those days well. It was the summer of '59 when I was hankering to leave home myself to find out what the world had to offer. Harvey Potter grew me a balloon that was big enough to carry me off, and that was how I landed in this place here. I never did go back home and never did want to. This here place was just right for me.
Mr. Taylor, you're so silly.
These days I farm, and I am not one to brag, but I have harvested my 32nd crop of balloons. Now, I don't grow mine the exact same way as Harvey did on account of, I'm not Harvey Potter. I have my own methods. Maybe I'll show you one day. Okay, one last time. Yee-haw! Yee-haw! Woo! 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 I hope you did it too, Mom. Dad, are you watching? You know you have to do it. If Mr. Taylor's doing it, you have to do it. Thank you. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed that. I enjoyed reading it. I have read it before, and it was nice to read it again. I'll see y'all next time. Bye!